All right, so get ready because today we're diving deep into a true crime case
Oh, yeah.
that has all the elements of a Hollywood thriller.
I love those.
We're talking love,
Of course.
betrayal,
Uh-huh.
and a murder mystery that took years to unravel.
Ooh, this is going to be good.
It is
I'm ready.
the Monica Simontelli affair.
Okay.
And our source for all the details today is a really captivating episode of the true crime podcast, 48 Hours.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
You know it.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So this case is so compelling because it really throws into question our perceptions of truth.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you think you know somebody,
Right.
but do we ever really grasp the secrets that people might be hiding?
It's like you said, it's like a Hollywood thriller, you know?
Yeah.
You just never know what's going on behind closed doors.
Exactly. And it all starts with Fabio Simentilli.
Okay.
He was a charismatic celebrity hairstylist
Okay.
who'd made it big in the beauty world.
I see.
So think, LA lifestyle, successful career,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful home,
Yeah.
loving family. This guy had it all.
Seems like
He had built his success alongside his sister Mela. And he ultimately became an executive at Wella.
wow.
So he was, the top of his game.
Big time.
And he had a genuine passion for his craft and this really infectious energy and just a reputation for being like a true friend.
So really likable.
Yeah, like imagine just like the life of the party.
Okay.
Always quick with a smile and a kind word.
So the kind of guy everyone wants to be around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And from what I gathered, Fabio was equally devoted to his family.
Okay.
He adored his wife, Monica,
Mm-hmm.
doted on their two daughters,
Yeah.
and loved showing off his prized Porsche.
A Porsche, huh? So he was doing well.
Yeah, he was living the dream.
It sounds like it, yeah.
Everything seemed picture perfect, but then January 2017 rolled around,
Oh.
and everything changed.
Um.
So it was a seemingly ordinary day when Fabio's 16-year-old daughter, Isabella, stumbled upon a horrifying scene. She found her father's lifeless body by the tool,
Oh, my goodness.
stabbed to death.
That's awful.
So imagine the shock and the grief that ripped through their lives.
I can only imagine. Yeah, that's devastating.
And, the brutality of the crime in such an affluent, seemingly safe neighborhood instantly captivated the public.
Of course. I mean, that's just shocking.
Yeah.
Like you said, picture perfect life.
Yeah.
And then this happens.
And this
Totally.
totally. And the question on everybody's mind was, who could possibly want to harm Fabio?
Right.
So the initial focus of the investigation landed on the infamous knock-knock burglars.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about them.
Who were terrorizing LA at the time.
They're everywhere, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah.
So just to remind you, these were like organized groups
Yeah.
that were targeting celebrity homes,
Okay.
hitting places like Derek Fisher,
Uh-huh.
Nicki Minaj,
I remember that, yeah.
Alanis Morissette.
Wow, so many big names.
They were everywhere.
Yeah.
And they were often escaping with tons of jewelry and cash.
They were good at what they did, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, they got away with a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but so naturally the police considered them as like prime suspects.
Right. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
They were active at the time.
Yeah,
And this was a high-profile target.
exactly. The Simontelli's luxurious home fit the profile perfectly,
Mm-hmm.
and the timing aligned with their usual methods.
Oh.
But this is where things take a sharp turn.
Okay.
DNA evidence found at the crime scene didn't belong to Fabio. It was a complete unknown.
Wow.
So this discovery completely shifted the investigation away from random burglary
Okay.
and towards something much more personal.
So this was no random act.
No,
This was targeted.
targeted.
Wow.
And it suddenly became very clear that this was no random act of violence.
Yeah.
Someone close to Fabio had a motive.
Okay, so now it's getting really interesting.
It is. And that's when a seemingly ordinary figure enters the picture. Robert Baker.
Okay.
He was a director of a local racquetball league.
Okay, so like totally normal.
Totally normal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just your average guy.
Nothing remarkable,
Uh-huh. But,
but Baker had a dark secret.
okay, I was waiting for it.
A prior conviction for lewd, acts with a minor.
Oh, wow.
And it turned out both he and Monica were part of the same racquetball league.
Oh, so they knew each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this connection,
Yeah.
coupled with that DNA evidence,
Right.
raised serious red flags for investigators.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
That changes things.
And it forced them to start really scrutinizing Monica and Robert's relationship
Okay.
to look for any hidden connections or motives.
Yeah, because now there's a possible connection
Right.
between them and the murder.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
what they uncovered was a tangled web of secrets and lies.
Juicy.
Yeah, it's about to get good.
All right.
Because what had seemed like a picture-perfect marriage...
That was anything but.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It turns out Monica and Robert were having a passionate affair.
What? No way.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
A fact that Monica initially denied vehemently.
Of course.
But the evidence started to pile up.
Oh, boy.
Phone records showed consistent communication between the two.
Oh.
Their behavior at Fabio's wake raised eyebrows.
Okay.
And then there was the
Oh,
photograph.
that photograph.
Yeah.
What was in the photograph?
It showed Monica and Robert together. And what's crucial is that bandage on Robert's finger.
Okay.
Later, it was confirmed that that bandage covered a cut
A cut.
that he sustained during the murder.
Oh, my gosh.
And the police, cleverly using those knock-knock burglaries as a distraction,
Oh, that's smart.
were building a case against Monica and Robert all along.
Oh, wow. So they were playing the long game.
They were
Yeah.
discreetly following their movements,
Uh-huh.
meticulously analyzing phone records,
Mm-hmm.
and just constructing a timeline of all their interactions.
Okay, so they were really building a solid case, it sounds like.
They were.
Wow.
So the police are watching them
Mm-hmm.
like hawks.
Yeah.
And then, bam,
Oh.
they swooped in and arrested both Monica and Robert.
Wow.
Initially, both of them plead not guilty,
Okay.
sending shockwaves through their community,
Yeah, I bet.
right? Because everybody had been grieving alongside Monica,
Right.
completely oblivious to the affair,
Right.
and this mounting evidence against her.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like, a whole other life can be happening
I know.
that nobody knows about.
Right under everybody's noses. So
Yeah.
it's like something out of a movie, right?
Totally.
The twists just keep coming.
Yeah.
So fast forward 6 years to 2023,
Mm-hmm.
Robert Baker, the man who had consistently maintained his innocence alongside Monica,
Right.
makes a stunning decision.
What happened?
He changed his plea to no contest
No content.
to the murder charge and accepted a life sentence without parole.
Wow. So for those unfamiliar with the legal terms, no contest means that while the defendant doesn't admit guilt,
Right.
they're not contesting the charges against them.
Interesting.
So essentially accepting the punishment without a trial.
Okay, so he takes responsibility for the act itself. But the question of Monica's involvement becomes even more complicated.
Right, because did she orchestrate the murder? Or was she truly unaware of Robert's plan?
Exactly. And it's important to note that throughout all of this, Monica remains steadfast in her claims of innocence.
Wow.
And adding another layer to this whole intricate web,
Mm-hmm.
her daughters stood by her side,
Really?
unwavering in their belief that their mother could never be involved in something so horrific.
Wow, that's powerful.
It really is.
And can you imagine being in their shoes?
It's heartbreaking to even think about.
Yeah.
Right.
Losing your father in such a brutal way,
Yeah.
and then the woman you love the most is accused of orchestrating it all.
It's just an impossible situation.
Yeah.
So this unwavering support really muddied the waters for the prosecution. Because with Baker out of the picture, they had to prove that Monica was the mastermind,
Right.
the driving force behind Fabio's murder.
Yeah.
And their argument hinged on kind of the classic motives, love and money.
Okay, so they were basically arguing that Monica, driven by her passion for Robert
Yeah,
and the prospect of a hefty life insurance payout,
right.
orchestrated this whole murder.
Exactly.
Wow.
And they pointed to evidence suggesting that Monica had shared details of their home security system with Baker months before the murder.
Oh, wow.
Additionally, they highlighted Monica's behavior on the day of Fabio's death, claiming that she was strategically crafting an alibi
Mm-hmm.
while secretly watching events unfold at her home through security footage.
Oh, so like she was watching a live stream of the crime as it
Yeah.
happened.
It's a pretty chilling thought.
Yeah, that sends chills down my spine.
But did they actually have proof of that?
Well, that's where the evidence gets a bit murky.
Okay.
The prosecution couldn't definitively say what Monica was watching on her phone, only that her data usage at the time was consistent with video streaming.
Okay.
So they argued she was monitoring the comings and goings at her house to make sure that Baker and any accomplices had left before her return.
So it sounds like a lot of circumstantial evidence, but nothing concretely tying her to the actual murder.
Right.
So what was the defense's response to all this?
Well, the defense really strategically attacked the prosecution's case,
Okay.
arguing that it was built on assumptions and innuendo, and that it lacked any hard evidence directly linking Monica to the planning or execution of the murder.
Okay.
So they picked apart each piece of evidence, offering alternative explanations for Monica's actions.
Which makes sense because, sharing a security system password doesn't automatically equate to plotting a murder.
Right.
There could be countless innocent reasons for doing so.
Exactly. And the defense really drove that point home, emphasizing that there was no communication, like no text messages, no emails, no conversations. Suggesting she wanted Fabio dead, they also downplayed the significance of the grainy footage from the Target parking lot, where Monica was allegedly meeting someone the day of the murder.
Yeah.
They argued that the footage was too blurry to definitively identify anyone, and that the prosecution was reading too much into a brief encounter.
Okay. So what about the footage that Monica was supposedly watching on her phone?
Yeah.
Did the defense have an explanation for that?
They argued that simply using a lot of data didn't automatically mean she was watching a live feed of the crime.
Right.
She could have been watching anything, a TV show, a movie, anything that streams video. They accused the prosecution of cherry-picking evidence to fit their narrative.
So the defense was essentially saying, don't jump to conclusions. There are other possibilities.
Right.
They also emphasized Monica's grief and shock after Fabio's death,
Okay.
arguing that her behavior was consistent with a grieving widow, not cold-blooded killer.
Absolutely. But the prosecution countered by painting her as a manipulative liar. They focused on her initial denial of the affair, her changing stories about the security system, and her explanations for how Baker's blood ended up at her house.
So they were essentially claiming she was trying to cover her tracks and mislead investigators.
Exactly. They pointed to a secretly recorded conversation between Monica and Baker. When they were pulled over by the police during that conversation, Monica allegedly said, "Somebody must have talked, somebody's doing this to us," which the prosecution interpreted as an admission of guilt.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty damning.
Yeah.
And didn't she also write those letters to Baker from jail?
Yes.
Weren't those considered incriminating as well?
The letters definitely added fuel to the fire. They were filled with expressions of love and longing, and the prosecution argued that they demonstrated a depth of emotional connection that could have motivated a conspiracy.
So we have the prosecution building their case on circumstantial evidence and alleged lies, while the defense maintains Monica's innocence, suggesting that she was manipulated and betrayed by a man she loved. It's a classic he said, she said situation. With no smoking gun,
Yeah.
what's the jury supposed to make of all of this?
That was $1 million question. But then just when you thought it couldn't get any more complicated, Robert Baker throws another wrench into the works.
Oh, no.
Remember, this is the man who had already confessed to the murder,
Right.
but in a shocking statement to 48 Hours, he claimed that Monica had absolutely no involvement in the murder and was completely unaware of his plans.
Wait, he completely flipped his story.
That's right.
After confessing and accepting a life sentence, he's now saying she's innocent.
That's right.
Wow.
He offered no further explanation for his change of heart, and he even stated that he hadn't decided if he would testify at Monica's trial.
Wow.
So this bombshell statement really threw everything into further disarray, creating even more uncertainty for the jury to grapple with.
So with Baker's confession, subsequent claim of Monica's innocence, and the looming possibility that he might not even testify, the trial was shaping up to be a battle of narratives. So how could the prosecution possibly convince the jury that Monica was the mastermind behind the murder, with such conflicting accounts and no direct evidence?
It was a tall order. They'd have to rely heavily on convincing the jury that Baker's initial confession was truthful,
Right.
and that his recent statement was a lie, perhaps an attempt to protect Monica.
Yeah.
They'd also need to weave a really compelling story out of the circumstantial evidence, persuading the jury that it all pointed definitively to Monica's guilt.
And the defense, they'd surely capitalize on Baker's latest statement and argue that he acted alone, driven by his own motives.
Right.
It's like trying to solve a complex puzzle without all the pieces.
Exactly. This case wasn't just about determining guilt or innocence. It was about deciphering truth from deception, understanding the complexities of human relationships, and acknowledging that sometimes we may never truly know what lurks beneath the surface.
And the added layer of Monica's daughters fiercely defending their mother's innocence adds another layer of emotional complexity to this already twisted saga.
Absolutely. Their unwavering belief in her innocence raises questions about familial bonds and the lengths we go to for those we love.
Could their testimony sway the jury?
Right.
Or would the weight of the circumstantial evidence be too much to overcome?
Yeah, it really makes you think about the burden of proof. In a case like this, can a jury convict someone based solely on circumstantial evidence, even when there's no definitive proof? No smoking gun.
It's a question that has plagued legal systems for centuries. And in this case,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't just about legal technicalities. It was about the lives of real people, a family torn apart by tragedy, a community grappling with betrayal, and a legal system tasked with delivering justice amidst a storm of uncertainties. So as Monica Simentilli's trial approached, the world watched, waiting to see if the truth would finally emerge from this tangled web of secrets, lies, and conflicting narratives. If Monica truly had nothing to do with Fabio's murder, why did she lie to investigators? What secrets was she hiding? And what would the jury ultimately decide?
It's a question that lingered in the minds of everyone following the case. Could they reconcile Monica's claims of innocence with the mounting evidence and the inconsistencies in her story?
It seems like every new revelation in this case only deepens the mystery.
Yeah, it really is a case that just challenges our perceptions of, truth and justice and just the complexities of human relationships.
Oh, for sure.
If Monica's truly innocent, why did she lie to investigators?
Right.
What secrets is she hiding? These are the questions that ultimately the jury would have to wrestle with.
Exactly. And don't forget about the potential influence of Monica's daughters.
Oh, right.
Their unwavering support for their mother, despite the accusations in Baker's confession, adds another layer of complexity to this already tangled web.
Yeah, their testimony could have a really powerful impact on the jury.
Absolutely.
Like, think about it. They lost their father in such a brutal way.
Yeah.
And then to see their mother accused of orchestrating it all,
Horrible.
it's hard to fathom that emotional turmoil
I can't even imagine.
that they've had to endure. Yeah. And their unwavering belief in their mother's innocence could resonate with the jury.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. And it could potentially sway them towards a more sympathetic view of Monica.
Okay, but on the other hand, the prosecution would likely try to portray their support as a testament to Monica's manipulative abilities.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
suggesting that she influenced their perceptions to protect herself.
Right, because if she's capable of manipulating her daughters, then who's to say she wasn't capable of manipulating Baker?
Exactly.
Or anyone else for that matter.
So the jury has to weigh the emotional testimony of the daughters against the hard evidence or the lack thereof presented by the prosecution.
Right.
Can they convict Monica based on a web of suspicious circumstances, even if there's no smoking gun?
That's the crux of this case, isn't it?
It is.
The weight of circumstantial evidence versus the requirement of direct proof.
Right.
It's a tricky legal area and one that often sparks debate. You know how much weight should be given to circumstantial evidence? Especially in a case like this, where emotions run so high.
It really makes you think about how much we can ever truly know another person's intentions, even someone we love.
Right. It's chilling.
It is.
It's a chilling reminder that we often only see the surface, the carefully crafted persona that people present to the world.
Yeah.
But beneath that surface, there may be hidden desires, secrets, and even darkness that we never suspect.
And this case brings those hidden depths to the forefront, like forcing us to confront the uncomfortable possibility that even those closest to us can be capable of unimaginable acts.
Absolutely. It also raises questions about the very nature of truth and how we arrive at it. Can we rely solely on evidence, or do we need to consider intuition, emotion, and the inherent subjectivity of human perception?
So as we leave this deep dive into the Monica Simontelli affair, we're left with this sense of unease, just knowing that some questions may never be definitively answered. Like, if Monica was truly innocent, why did she lie? What secrets is she hiding? And what would you conclude if you were on the jury?
It's a case that defies easy answers, leaving us to ponder the fragility of trust, the deceptive nature of appearances, and the enduring power of secrets. As we navigate the complexities of our own lives and relationships, it serves as a potent reminder to look beyond the surface and question the narratives we construct, both for ourselves and for those around us.
Absolutely. We hope this deep dive has given you a new perspective on this captivating case, and perhaps sparked some introspection about the mysteries that lie within our own lives. Join us next time as we delve into another fascinating topic, unraveling its complexities and exploring its hidden depths. Until then, keep those brains buzzing.